We have a wonderful panel in front of us, and we want to get to know each of you all. So I want to start on my left, and can I get you to introduce yourself, sir?
How y'all doing? My name is Sean Rich. I'm not a jack of all trades. I'm like a king of all trades. So like, in short, we'll just say I'm an educator, artist, technician,
All right.
speaker. We'll leave it there.
All right. What do we have next to you?
My name's Kai. I do a few things. I cook. I have a catering business. It's called Busty Chicken. I also write. I'm a content creator, and I have a few podcasts. One is called It's Y'all's Fault with the comedian Chris Mosley. It's like a fun gender blame game. We make up reasons to blame the other gender. And then I have one called Sip and Debate with my friend Akeem, and we just talk about different topics, mainly about Black community, within the Black community.
Nice.
Peace. I come in the name of True Father Allah. I'm the curator for Grassroots Bookstore. And, the main thing is I'm a father. Something I always wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty easy.
My name is Free the Truth, aka Auntie Free in these streets now. I am a woman who does a lot of things, spiritual stuff, podcasting, writing, poetry, person of the community. I just like having conversations that I feel are necessary to advance our communities and elevate our mindsets. So, just find me on social media. I'm everywhere, Free the Truth.
What's happening? My name is Henry. No special name, just Henry. I'm just here to do whatever needs to be done to improve our conditions, study human nature, study our reaction to our conditions. I like to get down to the root cause of things as opposed to just focusing on the reactions. Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Zoe Sarabo. I'm an educator and I'm an entrepreneur, so I have my own clothing brand, which you see outside. I have a podcast show and titled Across the Diaspora, basically focusing on issues that affects our community globally, because we're all connected in some way, just reflects differently. And I'm happy to be here and to have these conversations.
I mean, as you guys heard, we got a nice, diverse group of people here to speak on Black love. Let's give them some love to start. Thank you guys.
I think we should think about that in the context of capitalism as opposed to the context we were in before that. So I'll lay that out there. So thinking about this conversation and yes, the context of labor, body, commoditization, not having agency over yourself, not being able to provide love, not being able to protect, all of that resulted in those things as a result of capitalism and labor.
He's saying us growing up and living in this capitalist society versus being in a more freer.
Right, and our examples of what we're talking about resulted from those folks who really had to experience those things and had to give us the skills to be able to talk about and love. And I think we have to understand where our love comes from and how we love and where our examples were and what their examples were of a topic that is such as love, for us to name it Black love as opposed to any other kind of love.
All right. Well, to start the conversation, let's speak about Black love a little bit. I mean, the first thing we have to talk about is how do Black men feel about Black women and Black women about Black men, but the love in between, guys. Like, where are we at? What's the status right now between Black men and Black women on love and relationships? Let's get a basis there.
Fellas, how y'all feeling about it?
Ladies first.
I think the state between Black men and Black women is as healthy as it's ever been. We're sitting in this room together to have this discussion. These brothers put this weekend together for Black men and Black women to grow together. And as long as we stay focused on that, we'll continue to grow in that direction. But I think the state of Black love Black love and black relationships, I think, is two different things. But black love is stronger than ever.
I think black men are frustrated with us. Just for so long, we've had this "I don't need no man" mindset. I feel like black men are frustrated with us because we've kind of taken that role from them. You know, like the role of the man. We've taken that from them, so I feel they're frustrated. And then, of course, it's happened over time, but now we like, where's the black love? Where's the black men at? Y'all dating these others and this, that, and the other, you know? But I feel they've come to that point because they've been so frustrated with us. They kind of gave up. Not all, but you know what I mean.
It's kind of like a reaction.
Yeah.
To speak to Henry's point, I would say I kind of understand where he's coming from because, you know, if you go by what you're hearing, right, you would think black men ain't shit. They're not on the team, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, but it's easy to look up and see that black men are the most involved fathers in their children's lives. And a lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So when he says like black love, because it's bigger than relationships, you know, we love our babies and we're doing our job as a majority, you know what I'm saying? And the women, you know what I'm saying? The fact, I agree with him because we're still here. We're not supposed to be here. It's like people look at black people and they're just like, you have all these obstacles. Like, how are you even standing? Like, why are you here? I'll put all these obstacles in front of you. Like, what's driving it? It's black love. You know what I'm saying? What OBFC is doing for the community, what we do at grassroots, all that is because of black love. You know what I'm saying? So don't fall for the narrative because like the brother said, you know, these cats that you see online and everything, it's all about money. You know what I'm saying? And so they found a lane in which they know people they're addicted to it, like, you know, the drama. You know what I'm saying? So they keep it the same content. You know what I'm saying? And so, but you turn the internet off, and it don't even exist. It's like it's an internet thing. You know, it's not like I'm around brothers like Henry and his queen. I see them all the time. Brother Ali and his queen. Brother Shmigas and his queen. You know what I'm saying? My brother Jay and his queen. Like, I'm around nothing but married men. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly think I was married before all of them. So I was on that tip too. You know what I'm saying? It was 11 years. I gave it the good old college try. You know what I'm saying? I haven't given up on black love. So I think it is as strong as it's ever been.
Okay. Yes, very. There's definitely frustration between the black man and the black woman, right? There's always been tension, right? It's ever since we came off the plantation, right? There've always been dynamics within the community that strain the relationships. And I think over a period of time with capitalism and women being able to peace, right?
Yeah.
And being able to say, hey, I can make it on my own, right? That has strained it even more and caused more frustration. You know, the independent, hey, I can be independent on my own, whether they're getting support from the government or they can make their own money. And so because we have never had the chance to heal as a family and as the two genders to come together, we're seeing it now thanks to social media. It's been bubbling up to the surface. But I think that it's in general, it's definitely there. I see the frustrations as a reflection of our desire to want to love each other, right? Men are complaining, hey, hear us, right? Women are complaining, hear us. And that's because there's that desire for us to come together, but we're not doing it the right way.
Yo, can I add on to that real quick?
Go ahead.
So for like the longest time, I feel like, you know, you were hearing women often, whether it be Ricky Lake, Oprah, whatever. And a lot of us men, we felt we had to like walk on eggshells because of the narrative, and we didn't really say what was on our mind. So the reason why it just seems new to a lot of people is because, like, I think around the time that COVID hit, you were hearing men all of a sudden. And it's just like, oh, snap. You know, we can say that and they're listening and they're, you know what I'm saying? So it flared up because you weren't ever hearing it before. but I feel like it's kind of dying down now. A lot of people's getting tired of it, and you hear the same talking points because, a certain individual who was real big, you know what I'm saying, everybody's taking his whole format. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, but they're not coming the same way he did. Because again, you know what I'm saying? Like, this brother put me on to, I mean, I heard about the brother, but this brother, I remember when he said, I think he has the best platform because he's all about black families. I was like, oh snap. So let me pay attention to him. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, we live outside of that. You can't be on the internet 24/7, you know what I'm saying? And just one last thing, like when I was younger, man, when I was in elementary school, high school, I got frustrated with girls, when I got rejection and everything. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, the next girl, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like all of a sudden it's a big deal if like, you're getting frustrated. It's just like, it's just part of life. Every woman's not gonna like want you or like you. You know what I'm saying? So what? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why it's such a, like, yeah, we're gonna be frustrated. You know why married men say what they say? Because they're married. You know why single men say what they say? Because they're single.
I feel you on that point. We are coming from the vantage point that we have. Like, it looks like, and even right now, that's what I'm seeing in this conversation. If you notice, the women said something completely different than the men.
Well, we have one gentleman that hasn't gone yet, and she hasn't gone yet, so we got.
Well, not the full panel, but that's actually why I wanted to get the rest of your opinions, because right now, with what you're saying, I just wanted you guys to notice the dichotomy of thought already. So go ahead.
The status of black love right now is it exists in two different worlds for the first time in human history, right? We have the real world, which is the material, and then we have this digital world. Come on. So this is what you were speaking to, like as in the internet. The black man will always love his black love. However, black love has been co-opted when it comes to the digital world. So when we look at black love in the digital world, on the internet, you're gonna see like a gender war, us beefing with our women. We're so mad at our women, and our women is so mad at us. But when we go outside, we love our woman. Come on, right? Like we'll say, yo, we're not gonna pay all the bills. We're not gonna go 50-50. But when we get to that woman's house, or that woman come to our house, and we really in love with her, it's not even a question in real life. Here, take the whole check. You know what I'm saying? Jane, his wife, right? So, but if you go on the internet, and that's ran by the United States government, you're gonna see a factual side of war, a gender war amongst us. You're gonna read the comments, we're beefing with each other, and then that can, possibly become your actual reality until you go outside and talk to a woman. Come on. Or want to go outside and talk to a man. That disappears quick. I might talk big on the internet, but I might get around a woman I really like and be, yes, my love. What you say, Queen? Your grace.
So why are black women the least married in America? Like when you look at the percentage of who's married, who's not, black women are at the bottom.
There's a reason for that.
Black women. Let's talk about it.
You want to get into it?
I do, because we're talking about black love.
Internet.
Well, I wanted to allow Frida.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm hearing all of this black love stuff, but it's like,
And she with the smoke.
like nobody's like,
Don't hit the table because it's mic'd up.
Okay.
When you make your point, just don't slap.
Yeah, we ain't playing dominoes. We ain't playing spades. You know what I mean? Overall, I'm a black love advocate. My platform consists of having conversations that make black men and black women assess each other. At times it's hard because I'm calling for accountability in your actions and your experiences. But black love overall is, like he says, it's the strongest it's ever been. You know what I mean? Like, and I also think it has something to do with, because I know there's a lot of black women, I ain't going to negate the fact that a lot of black women don't feel love. However, I also think that has a lot to do with them. You know what I mean? Like, I can reflect on the woman I was 10 years ago to the woman that I am right now. And that frequency is totally different, to the point of like, I can walk out of a room and a black man is going to see till I get to my car safely. Yeah. without even having to say anything. You know what I mean? It's just, it naturally flows. And I think once you get into that frequency of like truly loving yourself, and I think that plays into a part of what this dynamic of Black love is with Black women mainly, is that we aren't necessarily living out the examples of love that we want to experience.
Yeah.
So how are you going to attract it? How are you going to be in a relationship? How are you going to, you know what I mean? Like it plays into so many different things, but in an overall general sense, Black love is as strong as ever. You know what I mean? I can't think of a space that I've been in where I haven't felt love. So that's my journey.
I have to disagree.
Can we
I have to disagree.
Can we define it?
Love?
No, Black love. You said you Black love is strong as ever. You both said it, and you said you haven't been in a place where can we make it tangible for us? Define it.
In fact, we can actually
Oh,
define
man.
it within the next topic, because the next topic is actually what do we love about Black men and Black women? So in that, can we get a definition of Black love? Can I get that from you guys?
I think your question limits the
Yeah.
definition of what Black love is, because I love you, but I'm not going to speak to you in the same context as I would a woman.
Yeah.
Correct. But speaking on the things that you love about a Black woman or a Black man, then we can also identify Black love.
You're going to define love between a man and woman. You're not going to define Black love.
Yeah.
Black love is us defending this whole room
Yeah,
against a common enemy.
Yeah,
A man and woman is strictly that. That's a relationship.
right.
Like we had a moment the other day, and I knew it rubbed her the wrong way. Ego would say she need to get over herself, but my understanding of Black love came and gave her a hug. Next time I saw her, I said, "We good?" And then the time after that, I say, "Hey, look, I know I rubbed you the wrong way. I apologize. I didn't mean to come off that way." So I think the real definition of Black love, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, not men and women, but understanding ain't none of us healed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
What I love
maybe
about
we are
Black
speaking
men-
about it correct, because
Oh, I'm sorry.
just to be sure, just to make it sure in everybody's mind, everything in this conversation is wrapped around Black love and relationships. So we can get into many different areas, but let's try to focus on the relationships that we build within the Black community. You know, not
Why?
just generally.
Why I say overall, like Black love is strong as ever, because like you said, like we come to each other's defense whenever necessary. Like we could have just fallen out, but if somebody did something to your mama, your brother, your whoever, we riding out. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't even care about what we was just beefing about. Like
Yeah.
it's about us right now. The collective is strong as ever, I feel. But the dynamic inside of that Black love between Black men and Black women, that's where it gets a little, everybody got their own experience and perspectives, and it just gets a little different when we get into the dynamic of the Black man, Black woman coming together and in the relationship.
I would just like to point out that what you're speaking to is there's the individual and there's the collective, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, of course, we have some challenges in that individual space, but I think to what you were speaking to, the collective, like it is these things, like it is loving one another with love. We call it tough love, but it's being able to recognize the trauma in your sister and your brother and recognize that their experience or their hypervigilance or their fight, fear, or flight response might have been activated all day, and they just didn't realize they was coming at you sideways. And it's up to us to do that and help each other out to see where we can grow, like you said, and evolve. So I do think there is a difference between the collective love and then the individual love, which Europeans would like to push us to be very individualistic in the ways that we express love. And I hope that's going to come up. And again, in polyamory and monogamy, right? Like how we individually and collectively look at the topic. So go ahead, Earl.
You've been dying to say some stuff. I want you to be able to get that.
No, it's probably something from earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you had a chance as well. You had something to say. You haven't said.
Yes, I want to follow up on a few things. So the gentleman down at the back, I'm sorry, your name again, sorry.
Mine?
Yes,
This is called Rich for sure.
Rich? Yes, Rich, okay. So he did mention about, I think it's amazing that you're able to separate the talking heads and the content that is being espoused about the other gender and separate it from his actual interactions. But I can say that's not necessarily the same for most men. Social media is impactful beautiful in its nature in itself, and they are individuals, men who are responding based on the information that and the narrative that's being espoused online. So I can give you my personal experience, right? I have a 5-year-old, right? I've had a gentleman tell me that I'm gonna have a hard time finding a husband because I'm a single mother, right? They are men based on their own feelings and their own emotions and their own trauma, buying in and feeding in to that narrative, right? And so now they're responding based on their interactions with women, based on that reflection. I've also had another gentleman tell me, well, because you're so focused on your business, right? And because you're so, think you're so educational, blah, 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 that you just need to focus on being a wife, right? Because you're one of those women, right? Who'll have a hard time having a partner, right? So I think that we should be very careful in dismissing the things that are coming out because they really are impacting the mindset. And men already know what other men are saying, right? They'll say something in front of other men, but they really don't know what they're saying to other ladies. I know you want to say something. I know you've been dying to say something. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. That was so rude. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I know. Sorry.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I didn't wait. Hold on. I didn't know if we had audience interaction.
Yeah,
I know. Like
gonna-
she's been dying. We can't open up audience interaction. Just
I'm sorry. She's been dying.
Yeah.
Write it down. Write it down on your phone. Write it down. We have to keep the piano going. Wait.
So
We got to keep the piano going. But go ahead.
yeah, so I just wanted to respond to that. I think that's really really key. And I think for the context of Black love, for me personally, I find it hard to separate our interactions individually and as a collective, because the example you give is your interaction with another female. So I'm not sure what you mean by personal. Do you mean as a boyfriend and girlfriend as separate from the collective? Or, because we're saying it's separate individually from the collective. And so for me, whatever interaction and love I feel to a male is the same love I think we should have as a collective and vice versa. Understanding our history, understanding where we come from, understanding that we're coming from a space of pain and hurt. And so if we react a certain way, whether it's as a collective or we're dealing one-on-one with someone, I think the response and that love that we feel towards that person can be the same way. I'm not sure about separating it because.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Okay.
I was talking about someone who's here,
Yeah.
but having that understanding that typically we reserve for our spouse or our significant other.
Oh, the spouse.
Well, no, it wasn't about the spouse, but it's a matter of giving that same grace, giving that same understanding. Like I know what she's been through because I'm with her every day. So it's easy for me to understand her reaction to things.
Yeah.
I'm not with her every day. We see each other maybe 3 days a week. So therefore, the way I come off is going to be different to her. But if she understands that there's no ill will there,
Right.
I got an understanding. We're
Right.
all coming from different places, but the same place. So
Right.
when we meet, there's no translator to show what my trauma looks like versus your trauma. We just two different types of traumas talking to each other. But as soon as we can understand that it's all trauma, then I'm gonna give you the grace that I want you to have for me. So that's the collective, which trickles down to the individual.
Yeah. I think that's what's also important is understanding that Black love is a revolution because we're trying to love each other through all those traumas. And it's not even it's not just me. It's generational trauma because it runs through the DNA. So like it may not even be something that I necessarily went through personally, but because it's something that I had experienced with my mother, you know what I mean? Now I'm in this relationship and it's being triggering towards me. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important to understand that when a Black man is coming to you in a way of correction, to not be immediately offended, because sometimes correction is protection. You know what I mean? So I think that's also another dynamic when it comes to this Black man, Black woman love situation is that Black women, we've reached a point in society where we're often put in positions where we aren't corrected. You can't think about the last time you tried to say something to your mama. And we're grown now. So can you honestly have a heart-to-heart with your mother about some of the things that she didn't do correctly? Is she ready for that conversation? Most Black women are not. You know what I mean? So, and that's also a part of love. But, I don't know if we're ready for that conversation.
As far as correction is concerned, like if I see Free walking out the spot late night and I'm like, when men are in the building, you make sure somebody walks you to your car. Is that a bad thing?
No, I think
It's
everybody
not,
thinks that's a
right,
bad thing.
right. So that's a form of correction. But when you hear that word, so that's one thing we can do as men, right? We can change, our language, because a lot of it seems to not have any compassion. It's very harsh. You know what I'm saying? As far as what I was saying earlier, as a man, being in circles with men, like the fathers discussion we have every Tuesday nights, and just hearing what men say, again, like this stuff online is nothing new. It's just that we're hearing it being said. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing new. Men have been saying this. This is nothing new. Um, the sister made a post recently where she asked what do black men want, and the answers that she got were the same answers I seen 11 years earlier when the sister asked the same question on Facebook. The same answers. The stuff is nothing new. You know what I'm saying? And you said you wanted examples of black love earlier. I just wanted to share one example here at Grassroots, right? You have this sister. She's a single mother. Her son didn't clean up some stuff in the bathroom, right? So she found out about it. She's like, oh yeah, he'll come back and he'll clean it. But I was like, don't worry about it. Another person who's working handle it. And she was like, well, when we come back, he'll fix it. He'll fix it. It was already done. She came back and she was talking about, do you have something to say that's true? And he was like, yeah, I'm sorry for leaving a mess. And we were like, it's all good. And she's like, do you want him to do anything? And I was looking at her face. She was like, I was like, oh, okay. So she wants him to be, disciplined by a man. So I was like, oh, okay. I got some juices in the bag. You know what I'm saying? You can come put those out and everything. That's black love, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't have a father or a man in the household or whatever, right? And so he messed up in her eyes. She wanted a man to correct him. You know what I'm saying? And those are the type of beautiful things I see in Grassroots every day. You understand what I'm saying? When Brother Bilal comes in here with the youth and the act up, he's like, hey, stop running around. Hey, use your inside voices. You know what I'm saying? Because Because I love my brothers coming to Grassroots, because you know the children ain't gonna be acting up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've seen some things where, man, if I did that when I was young, woo. And I've seen some other things like, my children would never. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's those type of things, you know what I'm saying, that I see every day, sis. You know what I'm saying, that, I see as black love.
What I'm hearing, again, I think two things I want to point out. I'm still hearing there is a difference between the male response versus the female response when it comes to, is there issues of the status of black love. From the male side, I'm getting that, hey, men are being disillusioned with what we see online, and we're getting wrong messages because either we feel like we haven't been heard and we're not getting through, or right now we have a vocal minority, and what's going on in the streets is we are actually upholding our duties as men when it comes to black love. And then from the women, I'm hearing that there is an issue between, it seems like a communication issue or a misunderstanding between sides, and that needs to be rectified or reconciled, because women are trying to do what they need to do as women, hold their own and go for their goals and wants, and men are looking down on that in different ways. Could be internet related, all the hearsay as to women becoming higher status in society and all that. But then also when it comes down to relationship and the connections, they're not being heard. They're not being heard as far as the standards which they're setting, and men actually being able to meet those and hold those. That's what I kind of got from that. And then also I comes down to relationship and the connections, they're not being heard. They're not being heard as far as the standards which they're setting, and men actually being able to meet those and hold those. That's what I kind of got from that. And then also I got black love in relationship is not devoid of black love in community. And that's what I see you two gentlemen saying. Like when I say, hey, let's speak about black love in relationship, you're like, well, hold up. This is all of us. This is an all of us thing. If I love this black woman right here, I also have to love my brother. I have to love her sister. We have, it's a connected thing. So speaking about that, I really want to keep it on the good note right now and point out the good things between us. Let's not let the narrative, go negative. Let's point out what is great about our community within Black men, Black women, and the relationships that we're looking to build. What are some of the good dynamics that we've seen over the years? What can we pull some of that out and highlight those?
I would think the resilience, being able to keep it going. You know what I mean? Like, just as Black people in America, the odds are just stacked against us for everything. And the fact that when they see us together, it's just a threat. So just being able to push through all of societal's propaganda and still stand strong together, I think that's beautiful.
People are.
My bad. I'm so used to playing dominoes.
Tend to get in though.
Nah, but so first thing with the Black love, right? The actuality is none of us can define it because love itself is undefinable, right? Whether it's purple love, white love, pink love, black love. That's why, like, you got agape, you got philia, you got eros. These are all different forms of love with different definitions, right? So love is just undefinable and it doesn't have a color barrier. But I think we got to kind of be honest. So speaking towards like the Queen's point, where she said, men are following like the trends of social media. You know what? You're correct. And so with the current generation, like my generation and the youth under me, social media is highly influencing us. That's why I wanted to separate the two worlds first. But now we got to get into it because we're wilding out for social media, and so is our women. On social media, first thing we're going to see, I can go on Instagram right now. I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing all of that, for the first time. Like when I was a child growing up, if I wanted to see that, I would like walk into a store or a gas station, right? And it'd be a magazine, but it got a plastic cover on it. Now, right when I open up my phone, it's right here in my face. It don't even like ask me, do I want to see this or not, right? So the question is, we got to get into it. How did social media become so impactful in our lives? We might have to, at this point, play the blame game. I love you. Come on. But like, no, literally. Because in my personal opinion, I kind of think, or I kind of feel that the Black woman may have guided the men to be manipulated by social media. Because, hold on, let me make the point. I'm bringing out the smoke. Let's get activated. When Facebook first came out, when Instagram first came out, I got you, Queen, one moment. When Instagram first came out, majority of the Black men wasn't on the phone scrolling.
You were a nerd.
You know what I'm saying? We wasn't on the phone scrolling. Majority of the Black men was like, I ain't finna get no social media, right? But our women jumped on there first. First, they jumped on playing Candy Crush scrolling. Because when you scroll like this, it releases a certain DMT in the brain. It becomes very addictive, right? And with our women being on there, and then they started twerking, they're taking their clothes off in the camera. What the man gonna do? We're getting on that. But we go back, hold on. If we go back originally,
They just didn't jump on twerking for no reason.
Yeah.
But what is this have to do with Black love?
Yeah, look, got it turned up. What's up?
You showed
And I got 5 sources.
100% got it turned up. And I have to say, I agree that there are many issues which has led to the social divide. And I want to call it a social divide versus it being real. Because like these brothers have shown and have talked about, when it comes down to the home, Black men are there. Black women are supporting Black men. There is evidence.
Are we there?
There are so.
Hold on. Before we move on,
Are we there?
I'm not trying to move on.
But we're gonna go too far. I think that first off, we have to recognize that what you said, and I said this at the very, very beginning. social media is driven by the amount of likes and dollars that you can get. People are doing things for the money and they're disrespecting themselves to get this money that is being what is flourishing capitalism, right? Which is social media. So that's what social media is doing. Social media didn't get us here. Social media is a means of people are using it as a form of self-medicating and a way to make money, and we are not respecting one another in that space. I would just add that piece into it. I know social media is playing a big role, but the things that we are doing for the gram is driving revenue for a lot of people. And we've got to recognize that we need people to have accountability, just like the dude in the basketball that keep doing the thing with the gun, right? Social media is allowing things to be shown, but we need to see that people need mentorship and guidance around a tool that is so dangerous. Marcus Garvey talked about propaganda over 100 years ago. Social media is propaganda. We have to see it for what it is. It is there to destroy Black love. It is there to destroy our essence, and it is there to make society continue to think that we are not a holistic group of people or a collective. I don't want social media to drive this conversation in a way in which we don't see why social media has the influence that it has. So we all know it do. But we have to let's talk about it in multiple ways if we're going to talk about it.
Speaking about it in multiple ways is actually what this segment of this conversation is about, so we can highlight the good things in Black love and put that on play, because this will be shared in social media as well, and I want people to see that from us. But go ahead.
I see a lot of people wanting to improve and do better. They're understanding that, they can't be in a good relationship if they don't fix themselves. What Lauryn Hill said, you know what I'm saying? How you gonna win when you ain't right within? I just got back from this Actively Black. You know what I mean? But I got back from this men's illness seminar at SoFi Stadium. With 300 Black men were on the football field, and we were just talking about, the biggest issues with Black men, and we had sound baths, and there was a part where groups of 5 Black men would lock arms and talk to the one on the right, the one on the left. You are loved. You are, and this, and it was very powerful. Right. 300 Black men went to that because they knew they had to get better. Yeah. And the thing is, man, that's cool. But if you don't have people in your immediate circle that you can go to, like how many Black men here feel that if they needed somebody to come here at the drop of a dime, how many feel they have 5 Black men that can do that right now? That's a beautiful thing. And I think the reason why so many people raise their hands, they're here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? They have love. You know what I'm saying? So them raising their hands is not surprising to me. But as far as like the good things, I think when people come to grassroots, when they see the section dealing with bettering relations between Black men and women, they're fascinated by it. They're going through but they want to talk. They want to have those discussions. Oh, you think this book would be good? I'll give them my perspective on it and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a very popular thing to do better and improve. You know what I'm saying? Because we understand like what this has done to us. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree. I think right now the conversation of relationship in the Black community is bigger than ever. And that's a good thing no matter how, we need to talk about it. We need to get our trauma out there so we can heal from it and find better ways to connect. And in that sense, I wonder, like, what have you guys seen or been dealing with? This is kind of a little bit off script, but what have you guys been seeing or dealing with in your personal lives that have helped you, like any tips or any advice that has helped you to connect more with your Black brothers and sisters, just in Black love in general, not necessarily in.
Before we get into that, can I just ask the question?
Go ahead.
When you sign up for some shit and are we talking about love as in
that's where
couples, like marriage, family, the nuclear family? Or are we talking about Black love within the community? Because I need to get my mind right because I'm ready to go.
I feel you, girl. And I was right.
I'm ready to attack.
So
I need to get my.
Yeah, we was all
so what are we? Where are we
in the beginning, like as far as intimate relationships and things like that? But the conversation is spread out a little bit, and that's why I said that it seemed like, especially speaking when you two brothers spoke, it seems like the conversation of Black love intimately is not devoid of the conversation of Black love communally, and that connection, we're kind of writing that right now, and we've kind of shifted into that. It seems like I can't get away from, hey, you know, if you want a relationship with this Black man or this Black woman, that still deals with a lot of societal issues and pressures and social media and everything else coming down on you. You know, I see a lot of people, even when it comes to, you know, having relationships for myself, it's a lot of what I see just on my timeline gets spewed to me as an expectation or a thought, like it's projected on me, and it doesn't fit because I'm not going to fit that mold. I don't know where that went. So I do understand that all layers onto it. So we've kind of moved out of just relationship intimately into Black love as a whole. And I wanted to highlight what are the good, you know, parts of Black love. Or
Can I?
I think we can bring it back to your point, though. We can bring the
We sure
conversation
can.
back to your point of the dynamics between those.
Well, let me just speak to that. I don't really have an answer to it because when you ask that question, what's good about Black love?
What's not?
Right? What's not?
Nah, I mean, I might be wrong here.
Highlighting some good.
I might be wrong here, but let's look at it like
Love is
this.
love. Everybody in love.
Our people have a way of making trauma glamorous. And Black love is simply a response to trauma. So when I look at the aspects of what Black love is, none of that is easy. But when you talk about Black love, you're accepting the responsibility of work. You know what I mean? It's one thing, your love for your baby, that's about the least amount of stress that you're going to get when it comes to Black love, because everything there is expected. When you deal with Black love between grown people, I don't know your past. I don't know what you've been through, but the Black love in me requires me to have patience with you.
Yes.
Requires me to have understanding.
Right.
So I don't know Black love is great, but I don't know what's good about it, because every bit of it is work. Every bit of it is dealing with trauma. So I'm not going to say it's not good, but I can't really point to this is what's good about it, because if it was all good, it would just be love. But it's a certain flavor of love that we have to tolerate, deal with, work through, and hopefully get to that promised land on the other side, which we typically don't get to.
I mean, I don't think it's any different than being a Black American. Why aren't we just Americans? Because of who we are and what we've been through, it separates us from everybody else. So I feel the same way about Black love. Like when I choose to only date Black men, that says something. Because let me tell you, the world out here, the way these other men be approaching me, it'd be perfectly easier for me to go date somebody else who's not Black. I feel like that's a, I don't want to disrespect nobody. But I feel like that's an easy way out. It's easy to be in love with someone who hasn't been through all the things that you have been through, and y'all ain't got to work through those things. Black love, like I keep saying, is a revolution. You have to be able to learn to heal with each other, to forgive each other, to have that patience, to give the grace, give the space. You know what I mean? It is work, but what is good of it is the results that you get after the work. You know what I mean? When you have your Black family, when you have your Black home, when you have your, you know what I mean, when your Black kids grow up and they have your example with their mother, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the good that comes out of it at the end of the day. I know, you know, it is hard work, but that's just what it is. We Black, ain't nothing for us come easy here.
What good does come from it if we're not getting married? Like our
But we
numbers-
are.
But we're not.
Black
If you
men
look
are
at the
marrying
if you look at the percentage, if you look at the percentage in America of all the races that are married, us Black women are at the bottom of the
Should
totem
all the
pole.
husbands raise their hand?
Okay, that's here. We're at grassroots. We're at grassroots. We're at grassroots. Of course, there's going to be husbands here. We're at grassroots.
Let's talk about it.
That's sensitive. I
Well,
like
I'm saying you're not going to me that you have that option to follow. We're at grassroots.
That's real.
Okay, so we're here. We're not going to.
Are you looking for a husband in the club?
We're not going to pretend.
Is that what you're looking
Pretend like we're a good
If you're a drinker,
like what? No.
Let's make sense of this.
We can't sit there and say, because then what? Because then what? Do you remember the live I made when I was talking about, damn, I've been waiting on a Black man so long, I'm 35. There has been white men, Mexican men approaching me. But I'm like, I want a black husband. I want black babies. But I'm going to sit here and wait so fucking long for a black husband. I'm never going to get married. My mom has not been married. My aunts have not been married. No black woman in my life is married.
Well, that's
Even friends, not just within my family. My best friend, she's in her 30s. She's not married. Her mom is not married.
But that's,
You know what I'm saying? But it's common. And we're not going to pretend that the numbers don't lie. We're not married. And then we don't believe in marriage anymore.
Oh,
No, let's get real.
Let me pose this
Of course,
question.
that grassroots, we believe in marriage. Of course, here.
Well, look, to the brothers that's married, I want to
How
say
much connecting and healing.
Y'all are elders.
I want to hear everybody.
One at a time. I want to speak to the two brothers.
The moderator has the floor right now.
Moderators, make sure people are talking.
Yeah,
100%.
Earl has the floor right now.
100%. Thank you guys very much. And I see that the unmarried topic is a hot button issue, right? Real talk. And it's on your mind for sure. But that is something we want to get to. My man here was talking about how black love is built on healing the trauma between two black individuals come together in an intimate relationship. And with that being the case, is that the reason why there is such a divide and black men are not marrying black women? Like, because of the trauma? Is there like inbred trauma there that's causing us to be disconnected in that area? Can't get to marriage?
Let Henry answer first, you guys.
Yeah.
And then Rich wanted to respond, and then we'll let the continue.
Actually,
Sorry.
I just have a question, and I'm gonna pose the question because it just came to mind. I'm involved in every day. I don't really speak too much on social media because I got a different opinion tomorrow. But this is my question right now. If we're talking about black love,
Smart.
if you married outside your race, I had nothing to do with you. You cool, we could kick it, whatever, but we're not friends. But to the sister's point right here, to the majority of black women's, I'm not gonna say majority, whatever the number is, point, they can't find them a man, right? Am I to be upset with you when you go marry outside your race? Because is black love not wanting to see black people happy? Even if it's not with us?
Right. I mean, but
Hold on. Let me get Rich first, and then we're gonna bring it back to you guys. We gotta make sure people get the floor. Go ahead.
So I
We're
want
gonna
to talk to
let all participation happen in a second.
I want to talk to the two brothers on the
What was their
panel.
question?
How long you been married, King?
First marriage 15 years, this was 5.
Okay. And then you.
I'm not married. I just carry myself like that.
Right.
You married. How long you been married? If you married, you married.
Yeah,
Can you answer the
I was
question?
kind of like getting to the point.
Okay, go ahead.
But no, so I was asking because with you guys being a little older than me, I'm 35. I mean 36, right? It's kind of like we live in a different world. We do, right? As far as in the dating pool, the women are different now. The younger women are different because they grew up with social media. Social media may have groomed them from the ages of 15 to 27, right? So, and same with the men from my age and younger. Some of these topics like that she's speaking about, like majority of the black women not being married, that is true. That is a fact. And a lot of the black men currently, unfortunately, I'm not one of them, but unfortunately, a lot of us, the younger ones, or even ones my age, are not doing the job as men. We cannot sugarcoat this.
okay.
Now, the ones in this room, maybe, yeah, but there's a divide, like you said. Where you looking for them at? In the club? But guess what? Majority of our community is in the club right now. Tonight is Saturday. What is it? Saturday? Is it Saturday?
I've been retired for a minute.
They in the strip club. Hold on, they in the strip club. Majority of a lot of our women right now, the young women are strippers. That is a part of our culture now, officially.
The majority of our women are
No,
strippers.
a lot of them. A lot of the younger women are strippers. No, like for real.
Two different worlds. Right.
It's not their fault, but like the women rappers are what? What are they're influencing the younger women, right? The men rappers are influencing the younger men to be shooters, and then the women rappers are influencing the younger women to be strippers. This is what's going on right now. So when it comes to black love with the black man and the black woman, currently in 2023, we are at odds. And yes, social media is at the center because those rappers exist on there. All of the influencers exist on there. And like you said, it's owned, by the government, right? This is a trap that we're falling into. But we need to discuss this. And in order to heal from trauma, we got to discuss the pain first. If we dance around it and don't discuss the pain, or we try to ignore one part because, hey, maybe you guys are a little older and your life is a little different, but when I go outside in the community, I see these things. Now, I love the black woman. My personal opinion is the black woman is God. She's irreplaceable, So that's the first thing. But also, I feel like with a divine balance, to the black woman, the black man needs to be God. Yes. This would be called Ma'at, balance, right? Justice and harmony. So we need to talk about the trauma to heal from it. So yes, we got to press these hot buttons. We got to press these hot buttons. We got to take the sugar coat off. Because everything that everybody said in this panel tonight, it's all 100% correct. Just from a different perspective. Her perspective, his perspective, her perspective. They're all correct. We're all correct. Just from a different perspective. Go ahead.
Let me get your opinion on this.
I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone who was not born and raised here. I may hurt some feelings, but I feel like I need to be honest, right? I'm about to share something personal that I don't really talk about. I've been married twice, and I'm 36. Both African American men, right? Coming from the Caribbean, right? We've had slavery and stuff, but our experiences with each other is different, understandably. And so I come here with the naivete of, I don't have any preferences, right? It's once you're a nice guy, right? Sure, right? But then I have, through these experiences, learned that they are the realities of trauma that I didn't even know what to look for, even, to even ask certain questions, right? Totally oblivious. So, but in having these interactions with Black men, I've also come to understand the frustrations with Black women. And there's this thing about passport guys.
Passport
bros. And so, for those, I see a lot of ladies asking what's passport bros mean. These are, Black men who are realizing that they can go to other countries. They don't want to date white people, right? And so they're realizing they can get a passport and jump on a plane and meet a Black person in another country, right? Dominican Republic, the Caribbean, Jamaica, whatever, right? And so I find it's what I've come to realize is that if you cannot find a Black woman here, jumping on a plane to go somewhere else is not going to help. My other immigrant girlfriends from Africa and the Caribbean who only date Black men, we have stories to tell, right? The same has to go with the Black woman. If we find that we're having difficulties connecting with a Black man, sometimes we have to look at ourselves and look at internally. What is it that I am doing, right? As a woman, what is it about me that maybe have some impact in my ability to find a partner? Because I can tell you, I know Black men want to be with Black women. Undeniably, Black men want to be with Black women, right? But unfortunately, we're not able to form those relationships, right? Because we have our own individual issues, the trauma, right? The way the Black men are talking about, Black women twerking and all that stuff. Yes, Black men are looking for wives, right? And I've come to realize, coming from somewhere else, that Black women may not necessarily be trained to be wives, right? And so when the Black man is looking for that wife, are we as women presenting ourselves in that respect so that the Black man can see you as one? Right?
That was a word. I'm sorry. That was a word.
And so I say that to say, out of love, that we really need to have deeper conversation as Black men. I want to hear you. I want to see you, right? There's this thing about simp. I hate that. What is wrong with me doing the things I need to do to get a Black man, right? I know men like to cook. I'm gonna learn to cook, right? I know Black men like natural hair. I'm gonna wear my natural hair. But if I'm stepping up to the plate, my expectations are the same of you, right? I'm doing what I need to do. So are you, as a Black man, stepping up and being the responsibility of what a man is? And do you know what responsibility of what a man is? And so if we can have that deep diving conversation, we hear each other, feel each other, listen to each other, so that we can grow and know what role we need to play in our own parts.
Out of what you were just saying, it hit me like we're in the society where everybody talks about, if it's not serving you, cut it off. Let it go. If it doesn't fit your purpose or your path, if it isn't giving to you, you need to get away from it. But then we're also in a situation where people are so disconnected. And who gives the first time? Who gives in? Who extends themselves? Who is gonna risk it for what they're truly looking for? And I hear that as being an issue between, socially, people regularly in lives now, we're cutting people off with the smallest things and we can't get over things. How can we create longevity in Black relationships and love?
Let me respond to this really quick because I wanted to bring this up. I told Kondo this earlier. So you all have heard the repeat of what Michelle Obama said about Barack Obama, how she couldn't stand him for 10 years, right? And I thought about this because I'm married and I couldn't stand my husband for the last 8 months. And I was like, damn, how I make it 8 months? And Michelle made it 10 years. But what I found in that 8 months is what you mentioned about if it ain't working, let it go. That is part of the problem. I have so many friends in my life that told me to leave him. Like, he ain't worth your time. You need to let it go. He doing X, Y, Z. Imagine when I said Michelle Obama's friend circle. I said Michelle Obama's friend circle must have been tight for her to go 10 years because I just came out of 8 months and I don't even want to go back. None of them 8 months. But everybody told me to leave my husband and to go do elsewhere. And it wasn't only single women telling me this. It's women who are also married but frustrated in their marriage, trying to hope they helping you. So I think in the midst of this conversation, it's your circle, it's who support love, and it's who got your best interest at heart and how you create love. I'm going to continue this conversation by saying I am married and I co-parent right now. My co-parenting is also part of that love. And we have to find ways to work through our own individual differences, even in love. Being married and co-parenting is a whole nother day to have that conversation. But to know that I can see my son whenever I want, but my husband can't see his daughter ever. That is a hard situation. I, as his wife, have to sit here when my son just got off of a plane yesterday. He's with my son at a birthday party, so I could be here. He's hurting because he ain't seen his daughter in 3-4 years, and she turned 16 in 2 weeks. The Black love I got to show my husband when I leave here, knowing that he experienced this with my child, but he ain't seen his own, right? So when we talk about what it takes to do this, it takes a lot to do this, and us as women got to recognize that our men are in harsh, terrible situations, and many of them can't even see their own flesh and blood, which when you can't love a child, you can't love yourself, and you can't love nobody else. And we out here stripping men from loving their own flesh and blood. I'm going to stop and I'm going to get off the topic, but we have to understand that these relationships work when the community wants them to work. As long as the community keep telling you to leave your Negro, or he ain't good enough, or he ain't got this, or the shoes he wear, that's your man. You gotta understand what you like about what your man is. If you don't like your man, then you can't be listening to what other people telling you. I'm gonna stop.
Again,
No, that was a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I got time to do it.
I got a
Well,
question.
just to speak on really quickly, just to speak on the Black women keeping the children away from their fathers. I am associated with the Black Panthers. Myself and Deputy Field Marshal Geo Dawson. He's Field Marshal for Fred Hampton Jr. We're starting an initiative so we can change the dynamic of child support. He told me to mention it. So, I didn't know this, but he educated me a lot on child support, and it really is an attack on the Black man.
Yes.
And as far as it not being just a civil matter, they've changed it, and they're able to criminalize a lot of Black men for being late, for being behind, for not being able to pay. They
For
take
paying
their
it off
passport.
ahead of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Take
take
their
their
driver's
passports.
license,
They can't leave the country. They take their driver's license. They're incarcerated. Gio was just arrested not too long ago. He's out, free them all. He was arrested and he was in horrible conditions. He was treated like a terrorist. How they have the Black men in Chicago right now at the I forgot the name of the jailhouse that they have them in Chicago, but the men, I think that's it. They have them live in horrible conditions. So we're starting up to get that situated. But yeah, coming forward, you guys hopefully we can get them out here June. We're gonna be starting an initiative to change the dynamic of the child support system because it's really attacking.
Can we get some
Black men.
clapping for that? Because that's something that needs to be shut down. I'm just saying, I'm on it.
A lot of people don't understand.
I wanna. I mean, we're talking about some stuff here,
Yeah.
but we ain't really talking about it. We talking about what your husband is going through. All due respect, I get it. The brothers with the child support, all due respect, I get it. But what we blame on each other, what we blame on Black love is bad decision making. You got to know who you're in a relationship with. If you can't really judge somebody's character, that when she get mad at me, she gonna put me on child support.
Right.
If when he have sex with me or whatever it is, he gonna bounce.
Right.
We got to do our due diligence because we like to complain about these things after the fact, but in reality, everything was in your control.
Right.
People say that all men wanted sex. Nah, that was all you had to offer because he got married later. So work on yourself. It ain't about the other person. Every bad situation that we find ourselves in, we had the ability to make it better ahead of time. So we gotta take accountability up front and stop falling. Love ain't always love.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Where are you guys at as far as monogamy versus polyamory? Like, how do you guys feel about having multiple partners within your relationship?
Oh, we have no
Personally?
choice.
You talking about personally?
No, we want to know how
Look,
you
look,
feel.
look, look.
Like, what you mean? How you feel?
Let's speak about it personally, how you feel about it, but then you can give some comments on where it's at in the social sphere right now.
Personally, the way my personality is set up, it's not for me. And that's fine. That's okay. However, in the grand scheme of things, overall, I feel like as long as it's ethical, what grown people do is what grown people do. Yeah. I think in the grand scheme of things of Black women wanting to have a Black man, you may need to share your good Black man with somebody. I'm just being in the grand scheme. We got to look at it. You know what I mean? Like that's the odds are not in our favor. Let's just be real. And that as long as all parties involved are ethical, consenting, and they know, then what's the problem? I don't have a problem with a man having more than one wife.
Or a woman
or a woman. I mean, I don't see that happening too often, but if it works for you, if you're able to find such a situation, then have more power to you, sis. I ain't got the energy.
So I just heard individual who was saying he identifies as polyamorous and he doesn't like the word polygamy. Yeah, he doesn't like one of the terms because it denotes him just only having a relationship.
Right. But there's so many
women,
there's so many
different dynamics. As far as Pollyanna. Go.
Wait, you asked one question and only one person answered. I'm gonna help you.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
no,
a
no, no, we go.
moderator. We need. I'm a really good moderator. Go ahead.
So let me say,
you gotta ask one question. Go
I
ahead.
like to get. I like to get to the root of things. I don't know if they made a poly Barbie, meaning that's not a woman's ideal space. And again, we like to glamorize trauma. We like to make the pile of shit that we look at look great. Not to say that poly is a pile of shit, but if you act like that's what you really wanted out of life, you lying. A man maybe, but a woman, I think it's a cop out. So I mean, but if you happy, be happy. But we know that that's not your ideal. I mean, she just said you might have to share. That doesn't sound like that's what you set out to do, but you just have to settle for it. So as long as we have that understanding that it was a settle, then we on the same page.
These are some feelings. Keep it going. Is this something? Anybody else on the panel? Before we move on, anybody else on the panel?
I mean, yeah, we
elaborate on settle though.
I don't even think it's just with just black men. I just feel like it is what it is. Either you're gonna openly say you're in a polygamous or poly, I don't know the word, I'm sorry, polyamory relationship. Either you're gonna openly say it and agree to it, or you're gonna be in a polyamorous relationship and just not know about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a poly relationship, even if you're talking to somebody, if you're dating somebody. I mean, of course, there's people that are married and they're in their relationship. 100% they're in it, but there's so many people that are in relationships that are also in relationships. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's like either you're openly in a polyamorous relationship or you're in one and you don't know about it. It's how I feel about
Let's
it.
hear from over here. You got something to say about it?
I just had to literally Google the word polyamorous. I'm like, what does this actually mean? In answering that question for me, everything first, I'll start with personal and I'll extrapolate. In making a decision as to the kind of lifestyle for me, it's all based on how does it determine or help with the establishment of the family and the community, right? What best impacts, the importance of building, right? The role of marriage, the role of relationship is to building a community, family, and legacy, right? And so for me, is this polyamorous, random relationships with whomever, for me, I can't wrap my head. I have to understand that better, because to me, is the purpose building towards something productive that helps us to develop as a people in the community? I'm not sure. So I'm going to stick to polygamy, right? That's what I'm familiar with. Historically, as people of African descent, we have polygamous families, communities, right? And it's based on marriage. Why? Because you have a man who has a lot of money and is able to take care of more than one wife. And these wives are co-wives that share in the establishment of the community, share in the jobs and the responsibilities of building that community. And so if we're not having these conversations within that context, to me, it's a waste of time, and it's not serving towards the growth of who we are as a people. So polygamy, I'm all for it, right? I can consider being in a polygamous relationship, but I have to be the first wife.
Gotta be the first one. If it's not the first one, I don't know what to tell you.
I have to be the first one, right? If there's another woman who wants to come in and play the role of taking care of the children, so I don't have to pay for a babysitter who's watching my child right now and be home cooking the food, I'm all for it, because at least I know who he's with, right? And so, but I know that we are in something that is mutually agreed. We've all had this conversation because that's how it is being structured and created and developed historically. And so if we as a community say that this is something that we want to move forward to, can we do that in that context and not just randomly sleeping with each other because we want to?
Question, can I answer a question? How do we decide if their relationship is beneficial to the community? Because if they're a man and a couple women who have just decided that they're going to be together, they don't necessarily want to have kids or anything like that, they're just happy and in love with each other and want to keep it one big happy family, like, are we dismissing that, or I just want to know what your response is to it.
If how do we know it's beneficial to the community? Is that the question?
Yeah.
So are they married?
Yeah.
Right. So they're married, they're working, they're involved in the community, and so for me, it's once they're productive members of the community and they're giving back economically and socially, whatever way it is, right? Yes, it's towards they're not, their lives are not impacting the community negatively, right? It's not taken away from what we're trying to do as a collective. That's how I'm seeing it. I don't know.
For sure.
I'm seeing three ways at which, polyamorous or polygamy even can be represented. Both of those. One, what you're saying, communally, to where it does benefit the community. They have a structured system at which they work and they build a family, and they're looking to grow, and from that they can create legacy, and it helps. And then another is like pleasure-based, where people just want to have their multiple options at arm's length, right? They can grab their pieces, do what they need to do, and get their work done. And another is not necessarily pleasure or that, but it's more just, it's not community even. It's like, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's like in a way where you're in this relationship, but you just care about this person more than what the definition of today's relationship is. You love them past whoever they may be with at the time, and still have a relationship beyond that, allowing them to be free.
You said sneaky link.
No. What I'm saying is there are people who will consider themselves in a relationship with this other person, right? And they're in the relationship. They may help financially. They're in a relationship, but then they have a relationship with another person, and they're not too worried about who else they have a relationship with. They can be in a full another relationship. They don't have to meet them, don't have to communicate, nothing. They just, yes, that's what I'm saying. So in that sense, it's not necessarily community building. They're not building a community with that relationship. It's not just pleasure based. They care about it more than just pleasure. There's more connection there. It's more than, hey, what you doing tonight?
So are they working towards, for me, every relationship is building towards something significant, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're past the dating stage or we're in a relationship, automatically is with the expectation that we're going to be married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up in a culture, I'm not going home every 2 months with a different person to my mother saying we're dating. Not happening, right?
Correct.
So we are in a relationship with the expectation that we get married at some point. And so are you saying that they're just in a relationship because they're in a relationship?
I'm saying there are people that enjoy the company of others and the relationship that they have with them, but not at the depth of needing to build a family. And it's more than just pleasure. Yeah, and it's more than just pleasure. So I'm saying that exists. Not saying that that's my personal leaning. So I'm just speaking to the fact that those three situations exist and interchangeably in the Black community.
Let me just provide some context. So this is me. The conversation you're having is my relationship, right? As a married woman with my husband, that's what we do. So like, we're not, what you said, polygamy, we're not engaged in that, and it's not pleasure based, right? So like, we'll date, it depends. Can't get into it, but I date separately. Sometimes we date together. It just depends. But in those relationships, for example, like we dated a woman who was a single mother, and we took care of her kids while she was able to go to school at night. So we're not seeking, my husband's not going to marry her, and eventually that relationship might dissolve. But while we're in relationship with her, we are helping her out with her kids so she can go to school, she can better herself. That's not building community, but it serves a purpose to her, and it allows us to serve that purpose with her. And we've been in those situations quite a few times because there's quite a few women out here who do not have fatherly figures in their kids' life. So in the dating field, you meet quite a few of those women, and it's so beautiful to be able to help her out in the midst of our union, because it's two of us and it's one of her. So that's kind of how it works in that type of dynamic. It's been different ways. Like you can be us and date another married couple, and it can also work that way. So it really just depends on, if you remove the pleasure piece out of it, like you're saying, Zoe, then what is that other piece? Like you're having 3 incomes at that time. For in our case, it would be a max of 3. You know what I mean? And then people often ask the question, like, you date women, does your husband get to date women? I mean, your husband gets to date women, do you get to date dudes? Well, I don't personally like penis. So the question would apply to me. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't want no dude.
Can I just ask you, that's cool, but why?
What do you mean?
Why does this dynamic exist?
Why does it exist?
Yes.
Well, like the word polyamory means you can love multiple people, right? So, and that's what it means, multiple love. So I love my husband very deeply, but I'm a very needy person and I got a lot of love to give, and he don't want it all the time. So like I need someone else that I can give more of my love to, and that's why I typically have a girlfriend. It's how that works out in our
The
relationship.
conversation does come to a head when you get into monogamy versus polyamory or versus polygamy, because it seems like the people who are monogamous have this moral position, have this standing, whether it be from the Bible or their own traditions or cultural. This a lot of times is pushed. Hey, guess what? I have a relationship where I'm being faithful to my one person. That is the standard. That's what it should be. And then you also have polyamory, which is and polygamy, which is like, hey, we have freedom. This is a lot of common thoughts people have. If I'm monogamous, then that's.
I think it's a split in the audience.
Let's go to the audience. Let's go to the audience. Let's go to right there. Just please. She's been waiting. Let her go first.
We'll take 3 comments from a woman. We'll take 3 comments from a male. Your comments could be to the audience. They will be 1-minute responses. We will be disrespectful on the 1 minute, and then we'll open up it again and allow 3 and 3 again. But we're gonna have some structure, please. So 3 male, 3 female.
We'll start with the first two.
Okay, so a lot of people that are in monogamous relationships are not in monogamous relationships because they think it's morally correct or whatever. Sometimes we're wise enough to understand how much work it takes to be in a poly relationship. If you're already broken, which we talking about people are single, why do you want multiple broken people in a relationship with each other? It's the same work with one person. If I had 2 husbands like my husband now, or any other women in here that are married, how can you deal with 2 husbands or 2 women that have the same Black love issues and trauma that we're talking about? To go back to the Black love issues and trauma that we're talking about ancestral, deep-rooted rage that Black people take out on each other and them and in relationships. It has nothing to do with, oh, she's got a job and he doesn't want me, he wants me to cook and all these roles. It's our ancestors who were tortured and that blood in their DNA got passed down to us. And when we get mad, we're on fire.
Yeah.
And we don't know how to freaking act. And that is why Black women act the way that they act. And that's why Black men act the way that they act. And once we have compassion for each other and we understand that, then we can heal it. It starts with dealing with that rage inside of you. It's not even the, oh, my hair and the nails and all the BS that and the propaganda that social media and certain algorithms, because my algorithm don't look like the twerking algorithm. So what I'm saying is it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how we're raising our kids. And I taught my children the same thing that I'm expressing right now, and they understand that. So it's not, I think we get caught up on all these different excuses when we are just the problem, period. And we just need to heal.
Male question, male comment.
Yeah.
It's either a question or comment.
So my question, it's a comment. It's actually a clarification from Henry. Being a student of Black history, I would like to, so Henry said something earlier that was really technical, right? In reference to what Black love is. And I understand his perspective, and I definitely agree with that perspective, but I think there's also another thing that needs to be clarified, because you were talking about Black love stems from trauma. And I know that that's a technical term. You're saying Black as in like, there was no such thing as Black at the time, or, love has always been, but can you elaborate on both sides as far as how Black love stems from trauma, and is there such thing as Black love prior to trauma?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that if you go to Kenya, they don't call it Black love. Right. I'm pretty sure if you go to Nigeria, they don't call it Black love, because there's no need to define it. We put that definition on it so that we understand what we're dealing with. So as I said at the beginning, it only exists in a capitalist society. We just so happen to be what they capitalize on. So therefore, it's just a mechanism on how we stick together, how we see each other. And I'm not going to hold you to the same standard as I would a white man out there, because I know your background is different. I know your motivations are different. So the reason why we make each other our biggest enemies is because we love each other so much. It's a dichotomy of things. So I think black love is simply a defense mechanism to protect us all.
So that statement there,
We
so
can't, we don't have follow-up questions. I love part of the rules, I'm sorry. We gotta stick to the rules. And we have any more comments? We was trying to keep the comments on the topic at hand, so that was mono versus poly. So we're trying to keep those comments going. We got one over here.
As someone that is polygynous, right? And I've made it very clear that I am polygynous, and this is political for me. The reason why I choose to be polygynous is because I understand that we are at war. When you are at war, it's warfare going on, it's spiritual warfare going on. So I know that me personally, that whoever I choose to be with, that we're going to have to deal with some things, right? So again, me being polygynous, I choose to want to have somebody to share my king with, because I understand that marriage is a thing that Black women are not going, a lot of us are not going to have. So it's a choice, right, to deal with that. You either choose to deal with it, you know, or not, right? But it's a choice that I choose to deal with. So I tell women this: you are either going to deal with it in the real time, or it's going to be under the cover where you can't see it, sis. That's just reality of the situation, right? Because some of us is going to share whether you like to or not. That's the reality of the situation. I get you, sis, and I see you. I see it.
Because I don't like how it's presented in an either or type of fashion. Like either you gonna know or he gonna be cheating. Like I know a lot of men who are faithful, loyal, honest. Like I don't like how it's being presented in an either or type of fashion.
Yeah, and I wouldn't allow that whole thing about there's a lot of men that's gonna cheat. I hear that, and there's a lot of men that's not unfaithful. As a married woman, my husband is physically faithful, but that nigga is not emotionally faithful. So we have to depends on what it is, because he will emotionally cheat like it's nothing, and that still is like a form of cheating. So like when we say all men are faithful, maybe they are, and I would say that about my man. I don't think he's out here doing nothing physically wrong. I mean, he ain't got to. I bring it to the house, but he still does romantic things like texting a woman, missing you, thinking about you, what you doing, good morning, boo, hey, baby. Like those type of text messages and conversations, that's emotionally cheating. Like I'm still dealing with that in my polyamorous relationship. So all men might be faithful with their penis, but they money, they don't be faithful with. They heart, they don't be faithful with. So I'm just gonna keep it real.
So I don't get it. You just share halfway and not all the way.
No,
because I mean, if you're gonna be in it, be in it. If he gonna do what he do with him,
like I'm not saying my situation. I'm saying that men and women both are doing things in those respective areas that we do. We discount the financial pieces of things sometimes, where somebody will be taking care of somebody else and not taking care of this. So it doesn't have nothing to do with love. I know it has nothing to do with love, but let's think about when we say all men are faithful, what that means. We'll unpack that faithful part is what I'm saying. We have to unpack that, because women ain't staying with people just because you're keeping your penis in your pants.
Well,
so
nobody's staying with anybody.
Right, so, but I want to unpack unfaithful.
People are.
Like,
they're sticking around. They're sticking around.
They're all people sticking around.
Yeah.
Good enough.
They're sticking around if it's good enough.
People all want to leave around.
You know, because I'm gonna defend me a good Black man all day, every day, and I understand that may have been your reality, that may have been your experiences, that may be some of the things that you have.
Bad Black man. I never said that.
I didn't say that.
I'm gonna take it away.
I didn't say that.
But I never said that.
Okay, but you're a host right now.
But I didn't say that. I want you to respect. I respect Black men. That's not a bad thing.
I didn't say that you said that. I just said I'm going to defend me, a good Black man, all day, every day. Some of the things that you are saying is painting a picture over all Black men. That is not all black men.
And
You know what I mean?
Not all, but most.
Aside from what cheating may be, or
Just
what
saying.
may happen within the relationship,
I'm trying to get it hot.
we
You
really
gotta-
Hey, we-
But you don't have to defend yourself. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
conversation.
honestly,
Everybody's power. Where's black women's power?
really,
Where's our power? What do you want? Create what you want.
I mean,
It's gone 'cause
on
we're
the
desperate.
relationship- It depends on the relationship that people want in their own personal lives. I think it's a very personal thing for us to all decide what we are looking for ourselves, and then strive for that. When I said that, when I said
nobody though.
correct,
So it's-
Exactly.
so you need to look inside before you can get what you want outwardly. And even when I said, hey, a monogamous relationship, a lot of people do start with that morally, from what they think about what their parents had or what they wanted, the love they wish they had. So they want somebody to value them specifically, be their own. I get it, I understand that, but we are in a day and age where relationship dynamics have changed for everyone. People have more options and freedom. And I know when I'm young and I have enough money to pay that monthly, I'm gonna go and try to buy that car. But if I have enough money to lease every year, I am leasing because I know the benefit of doing that. Now, am I saying when I get to a point where my options are so numerous that I'm just gonna pick and choose everything? No, that's on me and my personal leanings, and we all have to decide that within ourselves. It's still a personal thing at the end of the day. But when we come to the decision of monogamy versus polyamory versus polygamy, we can have our opinions on that. We can all speak about that from our personal situations and what we've ran into. We can give our experiences and see what may be better. And that's really what the question is. That's what I want to know from you panelists. Like, why do you feel that your position then, is, say, better than the next, better than polyamory, better than polygamy? Not saying that.
That's a personal
Pretty much why?
That really sounds like that's a woman's decision. Because men, if a man is in a relationship with a woman and she's not enough, he probably will become that man that y'all speaking on. But if you let him bring other women into it, then he will. So it's up to the woman at that point whether she wants to do it. This is not a 50-50 conversation. Correct. These are the women having to decide whether they want a polygamous relationship.
It depends on the man now. That depends on the man, because there are some men that come up front like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I got. Most women know when they get with a millionaire or a made man, they know what situations they're in. We're not gonna pretend all these rappers and NBA players, their wives sitting at home, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. What was that?
That's your decision.
Right.
The man doesn't have to make that decision. The man will be the man regardless. It's up to you whether you want to be with him.
But when it comes to this though, it's up to the man to be forthright though, so she can make that decision. So when he's sitting down at the table with her and he's like, I want to have me 2 queens. Do you want to be one? Okay, well, I see what the game plan is. Is this something that I want to participate in? Okay, you know what I mean? Like at the beginning, I said this was all about you. Like I said, myself compared to myself 10 years ago, I'm speaking from personal experience and understanding of healing. It brings you totally different experiences. So I'm sorry, I'm surrounded by people who are married to Black people. Most of the women that I know are married women. You know what I mean? So it's just that inside work is so needed. And until you start working on that inside stuff, that stuff that you don't talk to nobody about, the stuff that you are still trying to heal from, the stuff that you are still angry from, because I was a person who was living with anger for years and did not know it. You know what I mean? I was upset that me and my kid's father was not together, because this was not the plan. I did not plan on being a single mother. I didn't plan on co-parenting. No, that was not what I wanted. You know what I mean? So it's just understanding yourself, because as long as you keep on carrying this trauma, it's going to keep manifesting in the people that you deal with, the relationships that you're in, the people that you are around. That's what's going to shape your reality. So I get y'all. I understand. That's why I said I don't negate those things, but I also know what the importance is in shaping the perspectives and the reality around you, so that you are drawing those necessary experiences, more positive experiences. You know what I mean? I'm with you, sis. I'm still single, but I still carry the hope, the motivation, and the love of having me a good Black man by my side. I'm never going to give up on that.
Look, you talked about shaping the way that you view your partner, and I think that's a good segue into the next topic, because in all honesty, in these relationships, we're talking about monogamy versus polyamory. One big question that happens in the beginning is like, does body count matter? Like, does it then matter who they've been with in the past, right?
Who does that anymore? Who does that anymore?
Because so say you're gonna jump into a polyamorous relationship, right? Well, no. I'm getting multiple. I gotta present. You know, say you're jumping into a multiple people relationship already, and this person already has 8, and you know he's been doing this for a while, so you know he got a body count. Or this female, you know she's popular and popping, right? And you want her to be your only one. You want her to be your only one, but you know she got a history and past. Does it matter now that you just met her and are starting a new relationship? Like, how much does that matter?
Go do your clinic date and move on and be happy, because we grown. We are grown. Unless this person is a virgin, you know that there was somebody before you, period. End of story. Go do your clinic date and move on with life.
Of course, no man wants a woman who's been touched by a whole bunch of men. Of course,
right.
You think we fucking tell the truth when you ask? Let's keep it 100. If I'm 35, like, right? Let's say I lost my virginity when I was 21. I think I look decent. So of course I could say I get a date or two a year. Right? Let's say a date or two a year. Like, let's keep it real. If we all are sitting here, we go out, and we know we're actively dating, or we're out there, like, why even ask that? Like, that's insecurity. It is. It's like, why ask that question? It's like people, like, we don't wait for marriage no more. That shit's been out the window since what? 1918. Like 1980s, like, you know, it started, like, people stopped really caring about marriage like that, and the people don't wait. Guys used to want a virgin. I watched this show, Married at First Sight. This guy had a beautiful Black virgin. He didn't want her because she was inexperienced. You know what I'm saying? People don't want virgins no more. I mean, it just is what it is. And then the whole family, when they found out the girl was a virgin, the family was like, "Oh, I don't know if he's gonna like that." And his boys is like, "Dude, I mean, yeah, but where are you gonna find one nowadays? You know what I mean?"
Yeah, Kelly knows.
Okay,
So
Kelly numbers for somebody like me.
I just think
somebody like you.
My husband's hilarious. Okay, when we talk about tally numbers, especially for me, as a spiritual priest, I do work with women that I cut cords in their body, stuff in their body comes out because of their multiple connections with multiple men. So that's fine. Body counts are fine. I don't judge anybody on any of that, but spiritually, it can block women from money. It can block us from manifesting. It can change a whole lot for us. So if a woman's looking at her life and trying to figure out why she's not where she wants to be, and there's a body count, then you might need to look at what you're releasing, because all your power is being given to multiple men. And it's the same for men too. So, I mean, and I'm not judging nobody. I'm not saying that, have a low body count or anything like that. I'm just saying, when we talk about it, we need to teach our children how to operate and how to move forward, because we got to come back from them. And what we going to come back to if we just wasting our bloodline, just throwing it away. So it does matter. Body count does matter.
I agree with you, but you gotta understand, like, somebody like me, a lot of shit that I've been learning, like, about having sex and exchanging energies, and you hold on. I've just learned that shit from social media. Like a lot of us just learning a lot of shit from social media. Like as even therapy. Growing up black, like therapy is not something black people do, but social media taught me therapy is okay. We're the people that need it the most. You know what I mean? So it's all, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Earl, can I make a comment? Go ahead.
I don't care about nobody count. Because I want to know that you can get the job done that you have applied for, and to keep that employment going, that experience matters.
All right. Experience matters.
All right.
So I mean, I can personally attest. There was a situation where my brother, he met somebody over the internet. They're from a different country. They came out here, lived with him. She was virgin. Tried to start something, didn't really work. I think for a lot of guys, experience does matter. Like we may say we want the purity of a virgin, but that's just because we know she's untouched. But I feel like that's like the non-GMO label on half of the foods out there, right? You know what I mean? Like it's there as a selling point. And but again, these are just the standards and the metrics at which we use to judge people quickly to see who can get through the filter and who's worthy of our time, right? Yeah. Who's worthy of a real relationship? Who's worth connecting to?
Right.
And I think body count in the beginning, if you start with that, you're starting negatively. You're already looking into a person's past and you're not trying to be a part of their future. But let's go ahead and get Nikki over here real quick. Oh, you responded. That was no response.
As the resident sex coach around here, don't be asking me about no body count. I'm almost 40. Okay. I'm a grown ass woman. And you won't get a grown ass response around here. You understand me? So don't ask me about no body count because that's sexually immature, right? Number one. That's just immature, period. I'm a grown up. I've been having sex since I was 15. Don't ask me about no body count. That's just immaturity, period. What you talking about?
Average American, right?
Right. Don't ask me about none of that. That's crazy.
Go get your clinic date. Clinic date. There you go.
Make sure
Get
you
your
get
clinic
tested.
date. Show clinic date.
When you
Clinic date.
test, you have them and go about your business. Don't ask me about no body.
I'm just
more about the body than the actual answer to the question. That's true. Because I can sit here and say I've slept with 50 people, but what kind of, once again, energy have I absorbed from those people that I will now give to you?
Right.
And my sit down conversation and the time that I spent with you and what you give me in that will tell me who you've been with, how you've been with them, when you've been with them, and what you're going to do for me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. That is wholly true.
I think it's absolutely insulting when a man asks me like who you've been with, like, or how many. I think it's like none of your business, right? But that does not mean to say that you've slept around and you have a high body count. I just think understanding men, the conversation then becomes about the people and not necessarily. It takes away from who I am and what I bring. And becomes more of whatever's made up in your head. So if you don't want to go down that path, please do not ask the question. Do not go there. Approach me as to who I am, right? And what you think I can bring, and my energy, as you mentioned, right? And ladies, let's also keep in mind, right, as Priestess said over there, that energy is very, very important, right? And so as we're saying, do not ask me about my body count. Let's keep in mind that as women, we are the individuals that receive, right? We have the womb, right? And biblically the body is this temple, our body is the temple. And so we need to keep in mind how many individuals we bring into our womb, right? Because it really, as Priestess said, affects our lifestyle and how we move forward. So it's keeping that balance.
Let's not completely dismiss it, because a lot of times it's not about quantity but quality. I could think I found me a diamond in the rough and we finna take this to the top. I can meet one person that you slept with. This nigga be dusty as hell. I'm looking at you differently. That could have been the one person that you slept with, but it's like changing the logo on my shoes from a swoosh to whatever the worst shoe is. They don't look the same. So it's not.
I said, that's still leaning on the fact that the body count number seems to not matter.
I may not even know that man no more.
But
That was yesterday.
the effects of it do.
Yeah.
So
Can I answer?
if you had, say, a high number of partners, right, then there is more of a situation where you are connected to dustier people, or you have, I'm just saying, it presents more likelihood of dustier people. So that's yesterday's dust, but today be on something new, and it can track with you. And so the number, I don't think, from what I'm hearing, doesn't matter as much, but there are other effects, the energies you bring along with you, as well STDs and everything else, from just being out here all flamboyant. So figure yourself out, figure out what you want to do. I personally don't have a problem with people. For one, being in Song Lab, we started doing podcasts and everybody wanted to talk about sex. So I feel like the conversation on sex needs to be had more. It needs to be open. People need to become more sure of themselves and need to explore, which means there would be more sexual encounters with people. Not saying it shouldn't be consented. It should be consented and within grown, mature, ways. So that is something that, I'm just pushing. But outside of that, it really is about where people want to be in a relationship. I got to bring it back to that. Where you want to be in a relationship, how open you are, what you'll take, what you won't take. And speaking about that, the balance.
We're going to do final comments from the panel, and then we got to wrap it up.
I'm doing the last topic. Oh, for sure. I'm doing the last topic, and then we'll go. But
I think a couple of brothers wanted to say something real quick.
We got time?
Well, he said we gotta cut.
We gotta wrap it up.
Hey, just whatever you got to do, man. 'Cause, I'm gonna be long.
Oh, don't be long.
So let's get you first, man. So he can end with his comment. Man.
No, I'm saying, do your thing, man. Because
I could probably try to wrap it up. Like, I don't know, that's kind of hard. You know what I'm talking about? Like, like y'all talking about body count. So I gotta keep it real, right? So me myself, I practice African spirituality. I've been practicing it for about 7 years. I am a wellness warrior, right? Certified by Queen of Food. So I can't really sit here in front about the body count. I know exactly what you're talking about, right? And like for a man and myself, I had to practice discipline for my private part, right? A sperm retention. And I know the women has the counterpart that they have to practice, especially when it deals with shadow work. So I'm not gonna front about the body count. I'm not gonna ask a woman, right here. This is who trained me. This is training for 3 months. 3 months straight. That's Queen of Fool's son. Yeah, this is our workbook right here. That's our workbook. But yeah, so I was lost my train of thought. No, so I wouldn't just like, hey, woman, what's your body count? Right? I wouldn't just ask that. Body count doesn't matter until it does. That's what's really important. So like, hey, I might knock her down, right? For lack of a better term. I might get up in there. No, physical. Okay. Be real, right? Before I get in there, body count might not matter. After I get out of there, or get back in there a couple more times, I might start getting emotions. Now body count matters. Why? Because I don't want to war. If the woman has a high body count, the man puts himself in danger. The danger of being, if the whole city done knocked her down, she might be liable to cheat 5 years from now. If the whole city done knocked her down, every time you go outside, you might have to fight for my love. Like, what's that movie? The 5 Heartbreaks?
5 Heartbeats.
The 5 Heartbeats.
Like, wow. Okay, so you're speaking on behalf of women. I'm speaking on behalf of men. Women cannot speak for men, and men cannot speak for women. So, anyways.
Men don't never know the truth of their body.
I mean, listen, we got high body counts. Men speak for men, women speak for women.
Go ahead.
That's, you know, I'm a man. I'm giving you a man's
We're on
perspective.
time.
I'm giving you a man's perspective on it. So, like I said, body count don't matter until it does. Bottom line. And we can say, hey, body count don't matter, and then you be loose as a goose. That ain't got nothing to do with me. You gotta get your wound back.
In other words, ladies, stick to 4.
No. Like you can
I'm just
you know, we got women that like to get, you know, tag team.
You gotta let my man get on too as well. You gotta let my man get on.
But that couldn't be
all right.
So,
I'll hit the woman with a high body count.
We needed to wrap it up
I might not
kind of right now, because we all got to get about that parking lot. But I want to let my man speak. He has something to say. True. Go ahead and share what you have for us today, bro.
Real quick, as far as body count, the biggest difference between my wife and the sisters I've been dating since then is that she was a virgin.
She was a virgin.
Yes. She didn't have the drama. She didn't have the experiences. It's more than just sex, even though it has a lot to do with it as well. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, there's a song that Music Soul Child had, right, called Previous Cats. You deal with women who had all these men and whatnot, they're looking at you like the previous men. I ain't have nothing to do with that. So my wife, she ain't have none of that. I honestly feel that, you know, well, yeah, that was one of the main reasons why I married her. You know what I'm saying? But just to wrap it up, my man was talking about standards last night, and Grassroots is an institution. First of all, 4 to 5 times here, people have talked about looking within and healing. So I don't want to hear nobody talking about they didn't hear no solutions or answers. Okay, but as far as standards is concerned, we can have classes on books that teach you how to do just that, so you can be qualified to be in a relationship, right? From Too Good to Be True, trauma drama. If you're having a hard time understanding your purpose or whatnot, reclaiming the Black feminine, understanding the causes to our effects with post-traumatic slave syndrome, and, you know, like my man said, you know, man heal thyself. So you, as a man, you can learn how to be a well-made man in the class, right? The sisters, they can learn their true selves, the Black woman, the second self of God. Then, before you say I do, you can get into getting married. And then when you get married, after I say I do, keep it going. You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, my sister right over here, she got a book called Black Love. When's the last time you read a book defining Black love? You understand what I'm saying? And this is a book called Complementarity. All these books are at Grassroots. It says the couple is the bedrock of the nation. Without it, there is no family, no people. Without couples, there can be no family to procreate and rear confident, untroubled, anchored children. No viable community respecting generation can be born to continue the process of life, living, building, and defending without the couple. You understand what I'm saying? So having these standards, like, you know, my man was talking about the Jehovah's and the and the Amish and the Mormons, they all have standards before you get married. We out here rolling the dice. You understand what I'm saying? And we wonder why we have unhealthy relationships.
Marriages don't last. Zoe,
So-
you said it, we're not trained, right? We're not
Well,
being
this is the
trained.
training.
Exactly, no, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
A lot of people buy books at Grassroots, but are they reading them? I don't know. So start having class. This is an institution. So, you know, when I reach out to people, if you want to be a part of these classes and help, especially with the youth, we can help the healing and, you know, have more productive, harmonious relationships. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Nation of Islam, they got NGP.